Today's episode is brought to you by Salesforce. Salesforce is the world's #1 AI CRM, helping businesses and governments of every size connect with the people they serve. From sales to service to citizen engagement and mission support, Salesforce Agentic AI works autonomously to power the world's most innovative companies, agencies, and institutions, keeping humans in the driver's seat. Learn more at salesforce.com/EU.
Good morning, it's Tuesday, June 30, and this is the Brussels Playbook podcast. The vibe in Brussels today is pragmatic as 3 of the EU's most senior figures head to Turkey. Also on the pod, Brussels is making a big recruitment competition even more brutal. And Europe's heatwave has just exposed how unprepared the continent is for extreme temperatures and made me desperate for an air conditioner. I'm Zoya Sheftalovich, and with me today is Ian Wishart. Hey, Ian.
Hi, Zoya. Excited about tonight?
Pumped. Absolutely pumped. We're going to be recording our 100th episode special. It's going to be super fun.
Live in front of a very exclusive audience.
Juicy exclusive. Every last one of them.
But you can still listen to it in the normal way tomorrow.
You can. And actually, if you want to be part of it, send us through the link in the WhatsApp.
Is it not too late?
I mean, it's too late for them to come, but it's not too late for them to ask us a question, which we can then do in the Q&A portion.
Okay, so if you've always wanted to ask a question, this is the time to do it.
This is it. Do it, please.
Shall we start with our stories today then?
I would love to.
Shall we start with Turkey? Tell us what's going on.
So we've got 3 pretty big wigs from the EU who are arriving in Turkey today. We've got the EU's foreign policy chief, Kaja Kallas, the Enlargement commissioner, Marta, and the migration commissioner, Magnus, Brunner. And it's
unusual, isn't it, to see a big group like that going somewhere outside of the bloc?
It is. But I think what that's doing is basically sending a signal of the extent to which Turkey is really important for the EU in these 3 areas. When it comes to foreign policy, when it comes to EU enlargement, when it comes to migration, major kind of infrastructure stuff, like it's pretty big.
Officially, they're preparing the NATO summit, aren't they? Because that's in Ankara.
That's right. And that's just coming a few days before that because that's kicking off on the 7th of July, I believe.
Correct.
But unofficially, this is really part of the push that the EU is making when it comes to migration. Because as you know, this is something that EU countries have been talking about a fair bit. There are far-right parties around the bloc that are gaining vote shares, and the EU wants to look like it's got solutions to migration.
And it's really interesting and weird, actually, the relationship between the EU and Turkey. And it's sort of fluctuated for decades because obviously Turkey is officially a candidate to become a member of the EU. And then that was all sort of frozen when Erdogan started becoming more, what's the right word? Dictatorial, I suppose.
Autocratic.
Yeah. But then Turkey came closer, didn't they, during the migration crisis of 10 years or so ago?
Yeah, so it's been push-pull. And basically there was a time, that I remember, really, there was coverage of the fact that Turkey might become an EU member country. It was really keen. Erdogan was more of a reformer.
The economy was doing great, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the early parts of his regime.
Yeah.
Then he sort of had this attempted failed coup back in 2016, which was when essentially things took a turn, a very serious turn. But there's still this migration deal that the EU has with Turkey, which was signed back in 2016, where basically in exchange for a bunch of EU funding, they take migrants back and they host them on their soil. And
the EU promised to give Turkey about 12 billion euros in 2016, and that was really at the height of the influx of refugees from Syria, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And so this money was supposed to last, and the deal was supposed to last until 2027. We're now staring down the barrel of 2027. Migration's still a key concern. And really the EU is having to kind of think to itself, okay, how do we ensure that this deal, when it expires, doesn't go away, that Turkey is still cooperating, particularly considering the situation in the Middle East right now isn't exactly stable?
This relationship with Turkey is really strange. Negotiations over membership is officially frozen.
Yep, since 2018.
Turkey is a member of NATO, however. Turkey is
super key member of NATO, second largest armed forces after the US.
But then you've obviously got the weird thing in Cyprus. It's such a mixed bag, isn't it?
It is. And obviously also because of the backsliding on rule of law and on democracy since the attempted coup back in 2016, it's very tricky for the EU. And I mean, the latest thing here is the mayor of Istanbul, who is currently in prison on what he says and what his supporters claim are trumped-up political charges. And Erdogan has sort of locked him away. He's seen as the greatest risk to Erdogan's regime.
Is it fair to say this is kind of a rapprochement, though? I mean, Kaja Kallas, the foreign policy chief, went there in 2025. Commissioner Kos was there in February. You know, they do talk to Turkey a lot.
Yeah, and that's because they have to. Turkey is really key when it comes to the war in Ukraine because it does support Ukraine. It's been selling weapons to Ukraine the whole time. The flip side of it is it's still talking to Moscow, and there's everyone who's been on a Turkish beach knows that it's just Russian tourists all the way.
Well, I think actually this is a really key point, Zoya, because Europe wants to keep channels to Turkey open because they know how crucial it is that they can get to the Kremlin via Turkey. You talk to people who speak to the intelligence community in Europe and they see Turkey as a real important conduit for that.
They do. And there's also this fight for influence from, the EU versus China perspective as well, because China has been investing in all sorts of countries and various projects with its Belt and Road Initiative. Well, the EU has this new connectivity agenda platform, and that's meant to improve transport, energy, and digital links between Europe and Central Asia. And those routes run straight through the Black Sea region, the Southern Caucasus, and Turkey.
Okay, so that delegation from the EU there today, and I'm sure we'll hear in various press conferences and that kind of thing how it's gone.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Righto, Ian, shall we go to story 2?
Yes, this is about a way that budding European Union officials get their jobs, isn't it?
It is. This is super interesting to a lot of people in our audience, I'd say, because we get a lot of WhatsApps from people saying that they're studying for these tests by listening to us. I'm sorry, people. You've got better sources.
This might be a nice 15-minute respite, though.
It might be indeed. Yeah, that's true.
Because I don't think we're really helping them with their exams, are we? I don't think you find any answers here.
I think you find a lot of questions. Yeah. In any case, this is this big competition. It's the first one in 7 years that they've had at the EU for entry-level administrator jobs in the EU institutions. And this is a thing where, over 170,000 people, or around about 170,000 people.
Crikey, what applied?
Applied, yeah.
170,000 people applied for
that's
jobs.
Right. And there are fewer than something like 1,500 places on the reserve list. That's not even a guaranteed job. That's just for you to be on the list for them to pick from. So it's less than 1%.
I was going to say, your chances are really low.
Yeah. In any case, so because the demand has been so insane, Ian, the EU has actually added an extra elimination round, our colleague Gerardo Fortuna reports.
Like the World Cup.
It is, yeah.
So tell us about this round then. So you go through 2 stages now, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. So now there's going to be a test that people are going to find out about. They're only going to get a few weeks of notice to say that they're going to be sitting this test. And that test will allow the elimination of a bunch of those candidates to make it easier because 170,000 applications is just too many for anyone to go through.
The first test apparently is basic reasoning, and you have to pass that to go into the second round.
Yeah. And there's going to be...
Probably just as well. You don't want a bunch of thickos in the European Commission, do you?
Yeah, so there's basically 3 sections here. So they've got a verbal section, then they've got a maths section, and then they've got to read something and answer a bunch of questions about it.
And these tests October, November this year, I see.
Yeah.
So that's people can still revise for that then, because but apparently it's not about sort of memorizing facts about the EU as much about being able to process information quickly, which I guess is a good thing, really.
Yeah. And I saw a practice question that someone showed me at a party the other day.
Oh, that was a good party.
It was wild, Ian. Wild. And it was a maths one.
Yeah.
And it was really hard.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you've got 170,000 people going for it, you need to sort the wheat from the chaff, don't you?
You do. And actually, you're supposed to... So they basically chuck you out of the running if you...
window.
They chuck you out of the running if you don't get more than 10 out of 20 questions right. So each section has 10 questions. Sorry, 20 questions.
Yeah.
You've got to get 10 or you're out.
Wow, that's tough.
Yeah, it must be tough.
I mean, seriously, I don't envy these people going through this when it's such low odds of ever getting a job and you're putting so much in, the effort you have to put into it and the stress and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
And this is just the first round. And then after that, they've got to have an EU knowledge test, which is the next round where they're going to have a shortlisted bunch of candidates.
Okay.
And then there's going to be the 1,500 in the pool from which the European Commission, Council and Parliament get to pick their staff.
Well, I think if you got through to that round, you can definitely stop listening to the podcast at that point because you really need to put the hard work in.
No, Ian, don't tell people. They've got to listen for studying. They'd better be listening every day. Miss no episodes.
Well, I wonder if there's going to be a question about air conditioning.
Ooh, now there's a segue, Ian. Let's talk air conditioning. Today is not so bad. It's like back to the mid-20s. But
It feels quite hot to me, to be honest.
It does. Because the buildings absorb the heat. And then,
I absorb the heat.
Yeah. And it takes a little while for you to desorb it. But desorb it we must. Actually, it's worth mentioning, the World Health Organization said that this heat wave killed around 1,300 people. And by the way, it's not even over. It's just moved east. So it could still rise.
But this question about whether buildings in Europe should get air conditioning is really interesting. Anybody who's been to the US knows that most houses and flats and that kind of thing does have air conditioning. You just walk in and suddenly it's really cold. You don't get that here.
Yeah, it's like 90% in the US. 90% of places, households have air conditioning in the US, and it's 1 in 5 here.
I thought it would be lower, actually. I mean, I don't really know anybody who's got it here, do you? I suppose in terms of offices and things like that, I suppose do.
This is households, though.
Households, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's that many. Yeah. It's just not something we've ever needed, really, is it? But as the world gets hotter and as Europe gets hotter, it's clear that people start thinking about it because you have to be able to live and work in a place that's comfortable.
Yeah, you do. Well, actually, speaking of living and working in a place that's comfortable, Ursula von der Leyen, boom tish segue, she famously both lives and works in the Berlaymont.
Mm-hmm.
And last week, in fact, things got so bad on Friday, the heatwave was so bad that the Berlaymont, which is the Commission's headquarters here in Brussels, had to switch off their air conditioning. And they went floor by floor. And basically the first floors to go with the lowest floors. So it was a real upstairs-downstairs situation where people on floor 1, 2, 3 lost their...
So the plebs were sweating while the commissioners were higher up in the building. Fine.
Yeah. Commissioners are level 8 up, and so they were towards the back end of the shutdown.
So people weren't particularly happy about this, I bet.
They weren't. So we've seen some interesting messages that were flurrying around from various colleagues. And one official called it feudalism.
Because it was the workers who were hot.
Yep. The worker bees running hot and those upstairs cool as a cucumber. Although,
let's be fair, the commission did say there was no special treatment for the commissioners, didn't they? And it was just a logistics thing.
Yeah, they said basically that they were having to shut off the air conditioning gradually. And of course, we know warm air rises, so they were going bottom up.
Right.
They've said. But actually, the commission was asked about this yesterday at the midday briefing. That's these daily briefings that the commission has for the press. And the spokesperson, Anna-Kaisa Ikonen, said that the EU has no position pro or contra on whether people should be installing AC.
I suppose that's fair enough. You wouldn't expect the European Commission to have a position on that, would you? I mean, they can't do everything.
Yeah, this is true. But the chief spokesperson, Paola Pino, she said that, yes, while air conditioning is a matter for people to choose for themselves, the heatwave is actually a reminder of the importance of climate policy.
I mean, it is. It just underlines, as we said the other day, it underlines all of that. And the reason people are against air conditioning is that it takes a lot of energy itself. And does that make the climate crisis worse?
Yeah, that's a real tension, Ian.
So have a manual fan instead. Right, that's kept you quiet. Shall we end the podcast there?
Before we end the podcast, Ian, we've actually had such a sweet message from one of our listeners. It's from Sveva, who is a trainee at the council from Italy. She's written in and she said that today will be the last day of the traineeship for her and 50 other trainees. And she writes in, it was a super rewarding experience and we all collectively listened to the Brussels pod. Will you say hello to all of us and wish us luck for our future? Thanks a lot. Love the pod. Sveva, good luck.
That's lovely, Sveva. Thank you very much. And good luck. And thanks for listening. And you're the future of Europe.
Thanks, Dad. All right, folks, before we go, as we said earlier, we're recording our 100th episode live in front of an audience tonight here in Brussels. We've been banging on about it for a while, haven't we, Ian?
It'll be weird recording this podcast in the evening, won't it?
Well, we'll see. We'll see, folks. Send us those questions and you might hear the podcast sound a little different tomorrow, so please tune in and actually rate us, review us so that people know that we're here so they can tune in for the first live episode.
And if you're coming, we'll see you tonight. Otherwise, we'll speak to you tomorrow.
Bye.
A message from Salesforce. Across Europe, Salesforce is investing in the future of trusted AI, helping businesses and public sector organizations connect with customers and citizens in new ways. As the world's #1 AI CRM, Salesforce powers companies to become agentic enterprises, a new model of work where humans and trusted AI agents drive success together. Learn more at salesforce.com/EU.